Give everybody an overview what College Credit Plus is. Most of you know, some of you don't, but College Credit Plus is kind of umbrella for a lot of options for kids to earn college credit while still enrolled in high school. We used to have two kind of different programs post-secondary. A lot of parents remember that terminology. We also had dual enrollment. In 2014, the state combined these into one under one umbrella. Like I said, it allows eligible students to take a course and earn both high school and college credit towards both their college transcripts and their high school graduation. Students enrolled in the courses adhere to policies and procedures of the college. So they are, even though they're high school students still, they are a college student, a de facto college student. We have three different versions of CCP opportunities. We have on our campus, Oak Hills campus, there's classes taught at Oak Hills. They're one of our 7 bells in the day, and they are taught by Oak Hills faculty. These faculty have to go through procedures to get permission to teach with the college. And they just, like I said, it's one of our 7 bells during the school day. In the past, we haven't had this in a couple of years since COVID hit. But we have in the past and probably will in the future. We had on Oak Hills campus a CCP professor, the university partner sent us an instructor. And again, it was one of our 7 bells, but it was taught by a faculty member at one of our partner universities. And then the third option, students go physically to college campus, or they participate in an online course, just like any other student that is matriculated to one of our university partners. They participate in that event, that course, fully on the college campus. Those are the 3 versions you'll see that all fall under College Credit Plus. What are the costs for doing this? That's kind of the biggest benefit to our families in Oak Hills local schools. Students attending a public college will not be charged for tuition, books, or fees. That is the huge benefit to our families. However, there is a big caveat on that. If the student fails the class, withdraws from the class after the drop deadline, which is established by our university partners, fails to complete the class, or does not return books, students can be charged those fees. The fees will be placed right on the student's account. And they can be charged if they withdraw after 14 days into the semester as a general rule of thumb. Again, if the student fails the class, so that's kind of the risk of it, is if you fail, you will get the bill, so to speak, back to your student's account. Students attending a private college may also be charged tuition if they offer CCP. We do have kids that in the past have gone and found their own CCP option at a different university, but by and large, 99.9% of our kids work with one of our university partners. The only cost to the family would be transportation and parking fees if you choose to go to campus, and then you would have to figure that out on your own. And if you want to get parking just like any other student, you'd have to take care of that as a family. But the tuition, books, fees, all covered for the student once they are accepted into the program. At this point, I'm starting to turn it over to Mrs. Johnson. So Mrs. Johnson, take it away. And I want to point out real quick, if you guys ever have questions, I should have done this at the beginning, my apologies, put them in the chat as Katie is going through her information. If I see any questions, I'll flag her and we'll go from there.
So in order to participate, students have to be in grades 7 through 12 within our local school district. Each individual institution will set criteria specific to their enrollment. There are the general criteria set by the state guidelines through the College Credit Plus program, but then each individual institution can kind of guide students then once they're applying to those programs. They can do assessments, or now the state is kind of focusing on GPA as opposed to assessment exams for admission to the program generically, but then certain courses may require assessment scores from ACT or math and English for placement into specific courses. So once the student's accepted into the program, they are available to look at the different options. So whether that's the classes in our building or on campus, we can't limit the participation. So once they're accepted, they then are following the university or the college's guidelines. So they can do multiple colleges if they want. Some of our kids take some of the classes with all of our partners. We have had a couple of those end up with, 3 different college transcripts. So once they're accepted, then we cannot limit their participation with one or multiple schools. So when students are looking to think if they would be a good fit for this program, these are some of the things that they need to keep in mind. Students pursuing the on-campus option really need to be independent and proactive with their learning, really be an advocate for themselves. They need to be aware of deadlines, know where the resources are on campus, know who to contact on campus. A lot of the communication is done via email, either from myself or from the partner institution. So, they really are treated as a college student, and so need to have those skills as such so that they can be successful in that endeavor. If they're struggling, we need them to feel comfortable to reach out and access resources or get help from their professor or their advisor. They need to, really be able to kind of guide their own learning in that sense. Some other things that they need to do are returning the books to the high school. So when they're taking classes either on campus or online, as Oak Hills Local Schools is purchasing those, then those need to come back to us. And just a note for parents here, colleges follow the FERPA laws. So parents really can't ask for information unless their student approves them to or is a part of that communication. So again, the students really need to be willing to share what's going on and include parents, include Oak Hill staff and the college staff in their learning if they're having issues or if they have any questions and need help navigating the program. So students who take these classes will get high school credit and the college credit for it. So they will earn a college transcript in addition to the classes also being placed on the Oak Hills transcript. So there is a credit equivalency here. So any college course that is 3 or more hours receives 1 full credit. So a 3-hour course is typically a semester course. So they're essentially getting 1 credit in a semester's amount of work. If it's 2 hours there or 1 hour, you can see it's 0.66. 1 hour would be a third of a credit, but anything 3 or more gets 1 full credit. The guidelines from the state are that all CCP courses receive the highest level of weighting or quality points. So our classes get the level 1 credit for that. And so they're counted at that honors level and get those higher quality points added into the GPA. The state has set some guidelines. They can take up to 30 hours per year. So that includes summer hours, and summer is attached to the upcoming school year. So this summer of 23 would go on the school year 23-24. So it's a maximum of 30 per year and then 120 over the course of the 4 years of high school. There really isn't a minimum per se. It's kind of working with the school and the family to find a good balance, to find what would be a good fit for the schedule in addition to meeting the school requirements for graduation or participation in events or sporting activities. So on this slide, kind of talks about, what's the difference between taking classes, taking high school classes versus college classes. So college classes typically, tests are fewer in number, cover more material. There's more kind of bigger item pieces in college than in high school. High school, you're going to have your daily assignments, things like that. College is more kind of project-based, research-based, test-based that covers more material. You can see there's a rule of, standard rule of how much homework is going to be needed to be successful in a class there for college versus high school. So the college is, like I said a minute ago, kind of more research-based. So kids are going to be independent thinking, having longer assignments to do research and then put into analysis or application of what the assignment is. And whereas in high school, like I said, it's kind of daily assignments, more quizzes, more homework, completing problems, things like that. In high school, parents have easy access to teachers and staff, counselors, principals. And again, as I mentioned before, colleges follow FERPA, which really puts it in the students in the driver's seat, and they have to kind of start that communication or be comfortable to do that communication when they need assistance. As far as graduation requirements go, we get this question a lot. Can kids take their graduation requirements on campus? They can. Again, we can't really prevent kids from doing that. We do recommend that they do them with us, just so that there is that a little extra attention to, teachers letting staff know if students are struggling or reaching out to parents. But it is allowable. We just have to make sure we get the information from the kid about the course so that we can make sure it meets the standards for that course. And then it's not necessarily a petition, but we just need to make sure it matches the state standards set for that specific course that they're trying to have meet the requirement for graduation. For athletic eligibility, students can still do sports when they're a part of this program. That box is a little hard to see, but what it's saying there is you can see a year-long course within the high school gets the unit of 1. And students must have 5 units of academic classes toward eligibility per quarter. And then you can see under that, a 3-semester-hour course is actually granted 2 units. So anything 3 or more would get 2 units towards eligibility. The 1 credit or 2 credit college classes, again, kind of get that 0.6 or 0.3 towards the eligibility. So kids who are doing a mix and match of classes in the high school or all on campus can use that formula to help them figure out if they've got enough classes or not, or we can help work through that with them too if they're unsure. But there is a guideline, and so essentially, if they're fully on campus, they usually would need to take 3 college classes to earn the 6 units, which would put them above what is required by the state. Our partner schools currently are the University of Cincinnati, Cincinnati State, and Sinclair. So they're all in attendance this evening and will each be holding their own breakout session after we're done rolling through our slides. We do have a list of courses that is accessible through the website and then also through this presentation once we get it online tomorrow. We will be rolling that out through registration process here starting in February. We have the list of courses on the registration cards for in the building. So kids can put those down and if they want to take them in the building. And then those are just like any course at the high school based, will be able to be provided based on enrollment, staff availability, things of that nature. So there are some courses that are not allowable to students through the CCP standards set by the state when they're taking classes on campus. Typically one-on-one instruction courses, courses with fees of $750 or more, study abroad physical education courses, or remediation courses. They typically are allowed to take essentially the freshman catalog. So a lot of gen ed choices, a lot of entry-level classes. And then as they progress, they would have access to some higher level courses. If a student struggles, the state has set some guidelines for what is called academic probation, to help kind of support the student in rolling back a little bit. So to have them take a step back with still allowing them to participate, but then help to provide a little more guidance. So if a student's college GPA falls under 2.0 or they withdraw from more than 2 courses in one term, then they are placed on what's called academic probation, which means in the upcoming term, they can only enroll in 1 course for that term. And then they would remain on probation until they get their GPA up. So, the goal is to help them kind of gain access to resources, gain a little better understanding of college, and then still allow them to participate and kind of help them through that if they're struggling. The students will have the classes on their high school transcript, but then they will also have a transcript from each institution that they have earned credit in. So when students are leaving Oak Hills and then enrolling wherever it is they land on for their final destination, then they will need to contact the university's registrar department of where they have earned the credit and request their transcript sent to their incoming institution. So even though they're on our transcript, the incoming schools still want to see the actual transcript from the institutions. So then those courses could potentially be transferred in, and then that would start their college GPA as a having credits transfer in. And then, so I don't know if we have it on a slide, but the courses within the state of Ohio, they will be accepted at any other public institution. Out of state schools or private schools, it's up to their discretion as to whether they accept the credit. Typically, they treat it like any other transfer credit that they would review. So in a lot of cases, these classes are your lower level gen ed courses. So they have a pretty high chance of being accepted as transfer credit. And then we get a lot of questions about what are the differences between CCP and then AP, the advanced placement style courses. So at the end of those AP courses, the students are putting all their eggs in one basket per se and taking the AP exam. So the score that they receive on the AP exam is what is actually sent to the colleges. And typically a 3, 4, or 5 is what has the potential to either earn credit or grant placement into higher level courses. So the students own their test scores per se. With CCP, they're actually resulting in transcripted college credit, which would follow transfer credit guidelines, and is based off of the whole semester of work. So it's not just based off that one test at the end of the year. So some students who maybe aren't super test taking oriented can have a better shot at some credit through the CCP route as opposed to the AP route. There are different websites out there. College Board has a part of their website where you can look up AP scores and then see what would be accepted at a variety of institutions. And then they also usually have transfer credit information on the institution's websites as well, so you could kind of see what would be accepted. So CCP credits should not affect the standing of a first-year student when enrolling. So it should not affect scholarships or other benefits. They're typically still treated and allowed to apply for typical incoming freshman benefits and scholarships. What it does affect is federal financial aid. So federal financial aid is based off of the number of hours where they feel like students should be able to get through a program. So typically, federal aid will go through for 150% of a program's predicted length of time. So if a college says you should be able to earn this degree in 4 years, then you would get 6 years technically to finish that. So CCP credits do start the clock on federal financial aid. So those do count into that maximum allowable term length for the financial aid. So moving into the application process, when students are applying, I believe all of our institutions now are using online applications. The state also put in what is called the mature content permission slip, which students and parents have to sign off on, just that they're aware that they're taking college classes. So they may be taking some classes that have mature content or sensitive content. So just kind of signing off that they're aware that that is potential in some of the classes. Once students have submitted their applications, we will take care of sending transcripts to the universities and colleges. If test scores are required, students can send ACT or SAT scores through their respective accounts. And then usually they do then go through an orientation and advisement process once they have been accepted to the program. As I mentioned before, students can take classes over the summer. Those typically do have earlier deadlines than the deadline for the fall semester. So if you're interested in summer, you can reach out to me and I can help with the application process to get you in ahead of time to make sure you're meeting those earlier deadlines for the summer classes. But aside from that, it follows the typical application process set by each institution. So our registration process will start in February. Kids will be working through Expel and using school links to work on registration and creating their course plans, kind of their guide for each of the 4 years. And that's where they will enter their course codes for next year. So if they are planning to take classes here in the building, once we're through the registration process and all kids have entered their codes, then we will meet with the students who have signed up for the classes here in our building and kind of walk through the steps and give them the deadlines for the application process. For students who are looking to apply online, I walk through a lot of that with students individually as they let me know they're interested. Everything's on the institution's websites. So deadlines are typically May 1st, January 1st. So that's kind of the time frame that we're looking at. Just making sure that for students who are interested in applying online, they're keeping me in tune with where they're at in the application process so that I know to send the transcripts once they have submitted those applications. And then a couple updates that were new for this current school year, but I still think are important and are going to be pertinent to families moving forward. So as students are going onto campus, the male students are required to register with the selective service system if they are 18 years of age or older, and that is required. So they will need to go through that process if they haven't yet, or once they turn 18 and they're taking CCP classes. And then the next one I already talked a little bit about was the mature content permission slip. That was new last year, but will be used again moving forward. So ODE had used a permission slip, but I believe now all of our partner institutions have that electronically as a part of their online applications. So we do not need a copy of that as long as they're submitting it to the partner schools as a part of the application. And then the intent form is a form that was created by the state that we have kind of tweaked a little bit to include some of our important information as well. But that is just students and families saying they understand the rules and procedures and the processes outlined within the program, and that they're interested in pursuing the program. It does not lock them in by any means. It's just, they just have to declare their intent that, hey, I'm interested, and then kind of go from there. But so that the state deadline for that is April 1st. So that just comes back to me in room 522, or you can email it to me as well.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Before we wrap up here and move on to our breakout rooms, we do have one question that I don't know the answer to, but Mrs. Johnson or one of our reps might know. The question in the chat was, is career inventory testing available if my child is undecided on a major? That would be, if somebody wants to jump in and take that one, that'd be great.
Sure. We do offer some different options at Cincinnati State to be able to do some exploration, can help you match to several different careers based on interest and also based on aptitude. So we have a few different options like that. And I'll let Jillian and Beth kind of share if they offer similar options.
Yeah, we do offer that as well at the University of Cincinnati. If you just Google uc.edu, my majors, there's an online assessment that's free that you can take. And it can give you a sense of, again, what, aptitude-wise, interest-wise, ability, skills-wise, what might be a good fit and what those majors translate to at UC.
Hi, I'm Jillian, the Sinclair College Credit Plus coordinator. At Sinclair, we have a similar option as well as career advisors. There's also something we do in new student orientations where they can take this. It's like a personality quiz that provides them a list of their strengths and what jobs they could do and career major suggestion and also possible internships in companies.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And I'm sure they'll talk more about that in the breakouts, which I'm going to post shortly, where to go for each institution. A couple more questions from the chat. On the course list, does it show who the college partner is? I'm assuming you're talking about the in-person Oak Hills classes. Yes, it does. That link is in the presentation. It's on, if you see that bit.ly over there, it's on there. You can find it there. It does show who's with what. The only in-person, real quick, ASL is with Sinclair for us in person, Susan Doctorman. UC, we have just two big programs. We have the engineering courses and we have the computer IT, information technology, early IT program. Everything else we do is with Cincinnati State. Mrs. Johnson, please correct me if I'm wrong there. I believe that is accurate, what I just said. Yep. Yep. And where do we find the applications? These fine ladies will tell you that in just a moment in their breakout. And the last question was, what is the needed GPA to qualify for the program? Ms. Johnson, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so it's a 3.5 unweighted, or then they can the colleges can look at with a 3.0, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong. If they have a 3.0 to 3.49, then they can look at corresponding coursework and grades within those courses to determine if they meet kind of like a secondary route to admission.
It's actually slightly lower than that. It's a 3.0 unweighted GPA. And then there's the range of the 2.75 to 2.99. I think Jillian and Tara probably follows the guidelines similarly. And we will look at relevant high school coursework. Everybody interprets that a little bit differently, but most of us look at grades in core courses just to make sure that the students are up to par.
Miss Blankenship had her hand up. You got a cue? You want to go ahead and turn your mic on and ask your question? Yeah.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I kept hearing about taking the courses on campus. So the CCP courses are not taken at Oak Hills. Is that the campus you're talking about, or are you talking about a college campus?
Yeah, it's both. It's both. We have a selection of courses that are taught on our campus by Oak Hills faculty. And so just to give you the most recent example in my mind, we have two teachers, Tim Bradrick and Kristen Listerman, who teach IT courses. They had to go through about a year-long process to be able to do that, get basically accredited by UC in that college. But they teach those courses on our campus. But we have other students who drive to Cincy State 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, drive to UC 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week. And we have other students who do a mix. They do some online at home and they go to campus. That's like the old post-secondary. So it's really a blend of all those things. But we do have some. We just don't have the catalog. If they go on campus, they're open to the entire, almost not, I shouldn't say the entire, but a wide portion of that college's catalog. Ms. Johnson kind of outlined in the presentation the things they can't do, but it's pretty broad. It's very broad what they can do. Does that make sense? Does that kind of hit where I'm talking? Hit the answer to your question?
Yeah. Now, will they be taking the CCP classes on top of regular work at Oak Hills, or is this in place of regular work at Oak Hills?
It depends on how they. Yeah, go ahead, Katie. Go ahead.
I was going to say we have kids that do a wide variety of things. We have some kids that do not take any classes at Oak Hills and go completely, full on campus. We have kids that do a mix and maybe come in for half a day to Oak Hills and then leave and take classes on the campus or online. We got some kids who still want to take a full 7-bell schedule at the high school and then maybe just try one class here and there. So it's really up to the kids and families and what they want to get out of the program and the experience. So what I do is once students are required to fill out a full 7-bell schedule as if they're going to be at Oak Hills in the building. And then once they're accepted, go through the orientation and advising process and have set their college schedule based on how many classes they want to be there. Then we'll work with them on adjusting their high school schedule as needed and trying to, see when classes are offered for them at the high school or what they want to take and what bells they want to be in the building.
Okay. My granddaughter is at Diamond in the vet program, and she'll be going to UC Blue Ash. So if she took any classes at UC, would they transfer to that campus? The UC Blue Ash campus?
At UC, we're all considered the same university. So if a student takes classes at the Blue Ash campus or the Claremont campus, it's all the same. So even if they end up at the Clifton campus, ultimately, those courses are the same thing. So yeah, they count. And I wouldn't even say transfer because they're a part of their UC record. So they apply toward their degree.
Okay. And if she took classes at Cincinnati State, would that transfer to UC Blue Ash?
Yeah, as long as they're part of the general education kind of core curriculum that Mrs. Johnson was mentioning, there's typically a transfer guarantee among Ohio public universities and colleges. So
okay. And what about a language class because she didn't get a chance to take her second language. Would that be taken at Oak Hills, or is there a CCP for that?
She could take it at Oak Hills, or we have had students take language classes on campus with the partner universities.
Okay, because she's got a list of questions here. She couldn't get out of work. So the classes at Oak Hills. And how do we get the offered class list? Can she get that through an email?
I just posted in the chat the link to our CCP site. So that will have the recordings from this evening, the presentation, links to all the partner universities, CCP pages, applications. Our list of classes is there. And then once you get to the partner schools websites, then you can see they have access to the, kind of course catalog and what's available there.
Okay, so the course catalog will be in her email?
It's on the website. There's a link in this chat right here. So if you open up the chat, you'll be able to see that link.
Okay, so there's a
And
link in the
come
chat.
see me anytime to go over some of this specific stuff too.
Okay, so we can email you with
Yes.
very specific. Okay. Okay, thank you.
We did have another question in the chat about Spanish, and that's kind of I do want to touch on that because we have a group of students who have been in Spanish immersion coming up through our district. Yeah, so if that student is in honors Spanish 4, I'm assuming is what you meant, Miss Anderson, they should take AP Spanish next year, and then we actually are going to have a in-house CCP Spanish option for we call it post AP. So if a student has been in Spanish immersion and they're coming up through and they're a freshman or sophomore taking AP Spanish, there will be options on campus for them to do CCP Spanish after they finish the AP course. Okay. If there's no other questions at this time, I want to post out. I did post one. I'm going to put some HTTPS in here. I see we got a hand raised. Give me 1 second. There we go. Now I made them hot links. There's each of the partner universities is going to have a room where you can jump in. They have a presentation for you directed specifically to their particular institution, and they'll get that going in a few minutes. I see that Miss Voss has her hand raised. If you want to turn your mic on and go ahead, Miss Voss.
Hi. Yeah, this is just about the language. My daughter's in honors German 3 as a freshman. So would it be the same like Spanish? So then she'd go to 4 and then AP and then CCP for German?
Yeah, correct. We have not finalized a German CCP in-house, but they could do that on campus if they so choose. We are working on that. But we don't have that. We don't have that in the queue just yet, like we do the Spanish. But that is the correct path. What you just laid out. Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will stick around in this session if there's any more questions that I can help answer.
And like we just to wrap it up before we break out, like we have both of our emails there on the slide. This slideshow, like Ms. Johnson said, is posted to our CCP site. If you get stuck, you can just email us and we'll get it to you right away. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to post this recording to the website by tomorrow morning sometime if you want to go back and watch it again. And again, like we always say, if you need anything, don't hesitate to holler. Mrs. Johnson and I will get you taken care of. There's the links for the sites. Hope you guys have a great night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Katie, I had a question.
Yeah.
My kiddo is taking fundamentals of web design.